What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are of course doing another podcast, this time joined by my man Nivoleth. How are you doing, man?
Doing good, man. It's very good to be here. Thanks for having me.
No worries. I've been pretty much ever since I started. You were like one of the first guys that I thought of, but there was so many that like jumped in. But it's good to finally get you on, especially after you had me on yours like what, a couple weeks ago or a month ago or something.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks now, but that was a lot of fun. I had a good time.
Yeah, definitely. To anyone watching who isn't subbed to Nivo, please check the description and go and drop a sub to Nivo. I actually was on his podcast, like we said, about maybe 3 weeks ago or something like that, and that was a really fun chat. So go and check that out, and make sure to sub to Nivo. But we are going to get into the questions. We're going to talk a bit less about Battlefront today and a bit more about Fallen Order since it's getting a little bit closer, but there is still some Battlefront stuff. So we're going to start off with, what do you think about the overall state of the game at the moment?
I think the game itself is in a good state, especially for people who have not played it before. I think for new players, this is definitely like the best it's been, especially with the recent addition of Felucia and the Commandos. There's like a very good amount of content in the game, maybe for people who don't play it quite as much, but for long-time players and people who have played since launch like I have, and probably have just an obscene amount of hours in the game, I think it's kind of, I don't know. I personally haven't been too happy with it. I loved this most recent update, but like I was telling you a little earlier, I think I may have just overplayed after the update dropped. So, bug-wise, I think it's okay. I haven't played too much recently, so I can't really speak on how the bugs are going, but I haven't really seen people as upset about them. I know that the challenges that dropped today are being a little bit bugged, but...
Yeah, it's it's kind of just the typical thing today, really. We all kind of like knew that was going to happen, even though we didn't know it, but I think everyone slightly expected it, and then even still when it happens, we're all so annoyed about it, which is fair enough.
Right, it's like something as simple as just challenges tracking, and they managed to just kind of just mess it up a little bit. So hopefully those have been tracking, it just hasn't been showing up. But yeah, I think the game's in a good spot content-wise, for kind of the casual player, but for the hardcore daily players like myself, I don't know. I'm not really too excited right now. I think obviously whenever there's content drops, that kind of changes and I get more into it, but that only lasts for about a week after the update, and then it goes back to just waiting for the next one. So kind of hope something is done to alleviate that a little bit.
Yeah, I feel the same in that regard about it's almost like the weeks in. There's kind of like 2 week sort of waves. It feels like, where there's like the update comes out maybe like 3 or 4 days before the update, everyone starts getting back into it, and then the content drops. And most of the last updates have been pretty decent, like nothing huge, but they're enough to sort of satisfy us. And then you play for a week and a half, sometimes 2 weeks, and it's really fun. And then it's like there's like the dull weeks in between again, and it's like that's not terrible. It's better than what it was at the start, where there was like 3 months of just nothing. Like I'd much rather it the way it is here, but it is. I almost wish they were doing like, for example, like this month they're doing like 2 updates. They're doing the actual update, and then there's just like a little patch or whatever. I wish they would do that every month, because then at least like when the second patch comes out, even if it's just a patch, like no content, it at least gives you a little bit of a reason to play. So I do agree with that. It's like, I think the game's in a pretty decent state in certain ways, but for guys like us that have been playing forever, it's far from bad, but it's just like we just need something like big, I feel.
I agree. Yeah, I just something to where we get that feeling back, where we want to play every single day.
Yeah, exactly. I think like episode 9 content could maybe do that for that could be like a bigger sort of update where we might be really keen for like a month or something, but I don't think that's going to be like it's not going to give us like 3 months of loving it again. So I'm not sure what they could do. I feel like for me personally, it's like bug fixes and just like balancing. If they got the game really like balanced and free of bugs, I feel like I would be really back into it. And I am, because I took a break, I am kind of into it a lot more than probably most are. But even still, I do sort of feel the same about, you know, it just gets draining, I guess, especially with little things like today. For those watching, this is being recorded like the day of the challenges coming out, and I've just streamed for 3 hours and none of the stats tracked. So just little annoying things like that is really what's frustrating.
Well, I feel like if they want, like, the time that the game was the most exciting was like that 3-4 month period where we got a new hero every month, and like you know, then Obi-Wan came out with Geonosis and stuff. It's like, I feel like content like that needs to just be major content like that to get me back into it personally. Like, Clone Commandos are cool, but it's not enough to make me want to play every single day like a new hero would.
Yeah, I think for me the thing that would bring that back, even if it's not as many, Ahsoka and Ventress is that for me. I think if they added them, I'd be so, like, I would just be in love with the game again, unless they were like really bugged or something. But that for me, like, and I know a lot of people don't love the hero editions as much because like not everyone gets to play the heroes. I do get that, and I understand a lot of people like reinforcements more. But for me personally, like hero gameplay is this game. Like for me, that's 90% of what I enjoy. I do enjoy the trooper combat and stuff, but for me, it's just like so much of it is focused on the heroes. So adding someone like Ahsoka and Ventress would just, I think that would be like the big turning point for me if they were to do that. And honestly, I don't know if you've seen, but Dennis has been, he's been hinting a few things. I don't know, I'm taking them with a grain of salt because they've hinted a lot of things before, but he's been the whole Padme thing, and then like someone asked about Aura Singh and Ahsoka, and he kind of like hinted at it, so that's possible. But
what did he say about Padme?
So what's her name? Catherine Tabor, I think is her name, the voice actor for Padme in the Clone Wars. She got mentioned in I think someone asked, like, I don't know, one of the devs asked something about like what do you want changed or what, you know, something like that. And someone said, oh, we want Padme, and they tagged Catherine Tabor in it, and she actually replied and was like advocating for Padme. She was like saying, you know, imagine all the weapons, imagine all the skins you could have, and she pretty much said like she actually like genuinely said, I'm there to do it, I'm just waiting on the call, pretty much. And someone, I don't know, someone tagged Dennis in it, and then he ended up like not hinting at her, like he didn't say like, oh, she might come, but he just like, he shared it and he was like talking about it and little things like that. And then yeah, the day after that, someone replied to that tweet and was like, if we get Padme, can we get Aura Singh? And he replied with like a gif of Ahsoka like essentially choking Aura Singh with her saber, and he said, we'll see, with a winky face. So it's like just little things like that. It's like, it's not at all confirmation, but it's like, I don't know.
Right.
I feel like they would have learned their lesson.
Do that. I almost wish he didn't do that. Because it's like, now you make me think that it's going to happen, and then it's just not going to happen, and I'll be like, well, shit, you know. Like. Yeah,
that's the thing. I feel like surely they've learnt their lesson to not hint things if they're not coming. So that's what makes me excited, is like,
right, yeah.
Surely he would know now to not talk about it if it wasn't coming. So the fact that he has talked about it is kind of like, it's very intriguing, but at the same time, I'm
can't get our hopes up.
Yeah, until something is said officially, I'm not gonna even think about it, because I just don't want to. Another like big disappointment with this game will be a massive blow. I think it's at the stage where like a big letdown to the community. Yeah, is like, it's gonna cause a lot more issues than it would have, like, say 6 months ago or something.
Right.
Anyway, moving on, sort of still, I guess, on the same topic, but what are your thoughts on the changes coming to Vader and Boba? If you've heard about what's...
I was actually on stream the other day, and somebody came in and asked me that question, and I honestly haven't even read the patch notes, and I know they nerfed both of them pretty significantly. I know, didn't Boba get a nerf to his rocket barrage or something?
Yeah, he's honestly, he doesn't sound too bad for Galactic Assault, but I think it will be a bit of a pain in the ass for HVV. But yeah, it pretty much, they removed like the extra rockets from that star card from, I think it's Intense Barrage, so that no longer gives you, like, there's no way to get more rockets now. Everyone will fire the same amount, but if you deal 500 damage, you actually get a way faster cooldown. And they actually confirmed that it's not like a small cooldown. Like, they said it might be, I'm guessing it might be like half the time or something. So that'll work for GA, because you can, you don't need the extra rockets to kill a trooper.
It might be better.
So that means, that means you can kind of like use it more often, which to me sounds better. But then in HVV, like, if you're only firing not that many rockets, then I can see why that's a bit of a nerf. But at the same time, I do think Boba is I think he's one of the best in HVV anyway, so I'm not too fussed with that. I think he'll still be pretty decent. He has a jetpack, like, he can get away from people, so I'm not too fussed with that. The Vader one, though, I don't know if you heard about that one, but they're removing the damage reduction from his choke, which is just dumb. That's just...
Wait, so, like, in the duration of his choke, he still takes a regular amount of damage while he's choking?
Yeah, back to what it used to be.
Oh, yeah, that's not good. Yeah, I mean, because that was kind of like the big thing about Vader, was like he was vulnerable whenever he used that ability, like really vulnerable.
Yeah, well, that's actually why they changed it, because people were saying like he's a strong character, but if you use that and there's like, and the go-to like people always say, oh, well, just don't use it in that situation, but it's like, you can't help it sometimes. If there's 3 people just happen to appear in front of you, right, and then you use the ability and you only pick one of them up because the other 2 roll out of it or something, or they're out of the range,
you're
then
pretty
there's
much
2
dead,
people standing there like headshotting you over and over for 2 seconds. So I do understand, like, you shouldn't use it anyway. You shouldn't just run into a room of 100 people and use it. I understand that, but it's like, that's not why they did it. You should, if you make a dumb decision, you should die. That's just how the game goes. But it's meant to be there to like safeguard those things happening. It's the same as Obi-Wan's force push. They did that to that because you can't not, like, if you're trying to power up the ability, you're just standing there still. You can't help that. So yeah, for me, it's like, it's literally the last thing that they needed to change. I do think Vader needs a slight nerf for sure, because he is very tanky, but I don't know. I just think that's I just don't think that's the way to go about it.
Well, and it's like, just kind of a side note here, I feel like they've been focusing so much on things that just don't really make too much sense to focus on. Like we saw on Twitter today, Dennis was hinting at the whole, like, or not hinting at it, but talking about the bringing back hero pickups. It's like, why?
I was actually quite annoyed by that whole.
Yeah, it just that's like, the hero system is not even a big issue. I don't think that's something that needs to be addressed as much as they're addressing it. It's like,
yeah,
Dennis is so silent on Twitter for so long, and then when he finally comes back, he starts like mostly talking about changes to the hero system. And it's like, I feel like if they have such a small dev team, like, why focus on things that nobody's really asking about? And why nerf 2 heroes who I feel like, Boba's annoying, but I've never really thought he should be nerfed too much. And then same with Vader. It's like, I don't think Vader's OP at the moment, or was before, whenever. I mean, has this patch gone live yet?
Nah, it was meant to go on Wednesday, but
it got delayed. I saw that. Okay, so yeah, it's like, I feel like that, and then what Dennis has been talking about on Twitter is just like, why are these certain things being focused on when there's like a lot of other things they could be doing? But again, I don't want to bash on them too much, but it's just kind of weird. Yeah,
the hero thing for me, the hero system, for those listening who haven't seen that on Twitter, Dennis has pretty much been talking about, like, they want to change the hero system, pretty much the battle point system in a way. so that like more people can, it's fairer, like everyone gets to go with the heroes. And I understand that. I do think that's fair. Like it shouldn't just be the top 2 all the time. I get that, but they're talking about like taking it back to the hero pop-ups where it's like just random. And the one that he said today, he said like, what if it's not random and you know where it's going to be? And that to me is literally, that would ruin the game on the spot, because if the announcer says like the hero pickup is going to be in the, I don't know, like on the C flag on Capital Supremacy, you're just going to get 100 people sprinting to it. All the other objectives are just going to be forgotten, and then only one person gets it, and then it's just a clusterfuck of people. So to me, that sounds absolutely terrible. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, why would you even bring that up?
It actually sounds. I can't actually think of too many things that would be worse than that, honestly. Especially because it's like, if let's just say you're playing Galactic Assault, right, and you're on Naboo and you're on that second phase with it's in like the hallways, and then let's just say that the hero pickup is a little bit down the stairs, right? Everyone might be in there trying to play the objective, then they hear the announcer say, oh, it's going to be the hero pickup is down at the bottom of the stairs, whatever they say. Everyone's just going to abandon the objective and sprint at it, and then it's just, like it's just, I don't know. I don't know how they thought crazy. That was a good thing, because everyone wants heroes. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people want to get the heroes. You'd say 10 on each team are going to be fighting for heroes. So it's like, I don't know. I just don't see how they put that idea out there and think that it sounds good. It's so
of
dumb.
all things, yeah, no.
It's like you said, I feel like they're focusing on. I've never once, or I wouldn't say never, but probably 3 times ever, have heard someone say like it's unfair that I don't get to play as a hero. And I do agree. Like, it sucks if you're not as good as the game. I can understand that would suck, and it isn't fair. But at the same time, it is fair because the best players deserve to get that hero, if that makes sense. So I just don't know why they're focusing on changing that, especially 2 years into the game.
Yeah.
It's like it's not the beta anymore. Like we're not changing key aspects of the game at this point. We're trying to just bring content and fix what's already an issue.
And that's just a monumental change that would just completely like derail.
That would almost be a different game.
Yeah, like, it's just it's so weird. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is. I guess I doubt it'll happen, especially after the kind of the backlash that they kind of got
from everything. Like, I replied to it, and then I was checking the comments, and like everyone was like, "Mate, that sounds terrible." So,
why would you even think about that?
So I think he would have read it and been like, that's not a good idea. I don't know. Hopefully they just. I'm keen for him to maybe add a queue system and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm really down for that. Like, that's a good idea. But adding, when it's just randomized, or like, he had one option that was the first 2 get the heroes, and after 2 minutes they get despawned, and the next 2 get them. Like, what are you thinking?
Right.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
That's like, who?
Honestly,
I wouldn't even bother playing if I could only play for two minutes. I know it's fair; everyone gets a go, but it's like, that's terrible. No one wants to play a hero for 2 minutes.
Well, and it's like you can't just completely alienate like your super skilled fan base or like your player base like that. Like, when you're just like, oh well, everyone deserves a shot to play as a hero. It's like, yeah, that's true, but if you're that bad and you just can never get the hero, just play HVV or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just
for the guys who like, maybe there are a lot of young players. I understand that like the younger guys might not get that much of a go, and I do agree that I would like it to be somewhat fairer. Like I do like that, but yeah, I just don't think they're going about it the right way. Moving on to the next question, how much longer, honestly, do you think Battlefront will be supported for?
Well, I mean, judging by the developers and just everything, it seems like the developers' excitement just keeps going up. I kind of have all of the developers that I at least personally know of. I kind of have their like post notifications on Twitter turned on, just in case anybody says anything. And just Dennis and CJ and of course Ben, and they've all been a lot less active recently, but it seems like when they do say something, there's a lot of excitement behind it. So I think if I had to put an exact number on it, I think maybe through 2020 is probably the most likely. I think, the rest of 2019 we're obviously going to get content, but I feel like just with the way they've been talking and the way they've, like you said, they not teased, but kind of hinted at Padme and Aura Singh, and it's like, those are people who are kind of like lower on not lower, but not as wanted as some other heroes, and that they've also teased. So it's like if they're teasing like four to six new heroes, it's like I don't know. Again, we can't take that too much into consideration because it's just talking on Twitter. But again, they wouldn't be saying that stuff. I feel like at this point if there wasn't some substance behind it. So yeah, I think I'd say through 2020, and then after that, it depends on what happens, on if they make another Battlefront game or, I don't know. It depends. We'll see.
Yeah, I honestly feel like I have the exact same thoughts as you, that 2020 seems, at least most of it, I don't know about all of it, but like I hope it will be all of it. It feels like we will get at least like till the middle of next year, and if they're going to go to the middle, you'd think they'd probably just follow up to the end anyway. So yeah, that's probably my guess as well. But like you said, it's like so hit and miss. It's hard to actually put a finger on it.
Right.
Now moving on to some Fallen Order related stuff. Obviously, as we're recording this, it's pretty much a month away. It's a month and like 4 days away. So it's getting pretty close. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for it to come out?
I'd say probably about an 8.5. The gameplay that I've seen looks really good. It looks kind of reminiscent of The Force Unleashed, which was one of my favorite games growing up. And then it's just a new Star Wars game. It's a new experience. It's a new addition to the lore. I love the characters that we've seen. The second sister looks awesome, and isn't the new one that they teased like the ninth sister or something?
Yeah, I think it was the ninth. Yeah, it was the ninth.
So they look really cool, and the character of Cal seems cool. So yeah, I'm excited. The art book got leaked, and he's like walking into like a Sith tower or a Sith temple or whatever, and I think that the whole Sith side of like the Star Wars lore is one of the most interesting. So if they're able to explore that, that'd be awesome. So yeah, I'd say probably an 8.5 out of 10. The only thing that's really detracting is I'm kind of worried about how long the game's going to be. Kind of worried about the extent of customization. Those are kind of the things that if they nail properly, this can be a fantastic game. But if they release it and it has a similar runtime to maybe the Battlefront campaign, which I doubt it'll be that short, but maybe only 12 to 15 hours, I would prefer more of like a God of War 2018 style game, with just a really good length and enough content to where you want to make multiple playthroughs and you want to go explore little side things, and that's just kind of most what I'm worried about. But honestly, I'm so excited for just a new gaming Star Wars experience that's not Battlefront that it's just raising my hype through the roof for it, honestly.
Yeah, that God of War comparison is something that I've sort of thought of too. Not in terms, I don't think it's going to be like, I don't think it'll be as good, even close to as good as God of War, but that like the same type of game, if it's anything like that, I would absolutely love that, because I think that campaign, if you just only did the story, I think it was like 24 hours, and then I think that it was like up to 60 hours if you did all the side missions and stuff.
Right, and that's perfect, and the thing is, for a single player game.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's a pretty good stint for a game, and then the thing is you can replay it. Like there's so many
different choices and stuff.
Yeah, there's so many different little side missions and stuff to do that you can actually, you're not going to replay it straight away, but it's like, it's the type of game you can come back to in 6 months or a year and like give it another shot. So that's, God of War is like what I would like it to be like. I don't think it's going to be that good, but I do think, I hope it's similar to that in the way of like, being able to explore and travel around to different spots and like find little, all the little artifacts and stuff like that. That if there's all that kind of stuff to it, I think it'll be pretty damn good, hopefully anyway.
Right.
In terms of like the different aspects of the game in terms of like story and like the gameplay mechanics and all that, what are you most excited about, do you reckon?
I'm excited to see just kind of the different, mostly just the lore. Star Wars lore is so interesting to me. Like, I just love how in-depth it is and how, deep and dark it can get at times. So I'm excited to see what they do, especially with like the Sith side of things and how much they actually explore the Force itself. I really hope it's not just like a cookie cutter, oh look, we're running from the bad guys type of thing. I really hope there's like a lot more to it in terms of just the substance behind the story and how deep into Star Wars lore it goes. So I'm excited to see that. And then in terms of gameplay mechanics, different Force abilities. Maybe you can not really a karma system, but maybe you can, like, when you're leveling up Cal, you can kind of choose to go more like on a brutal side, like a more leaning towards the dark side. Obviously, I doubt you can be bad, but kind of just some more violent type things for if you choose to go that way, or you can take Cal in the direction of just a straight up like he's the way of the Jedi and very honorable and whatnot. I think if you can take your character in different ways, and that could add to replayability. You can have one playthrough where you're really honorable and maybe your animations are different and maybe your Force abilities are different, and then if you decide to go the other way, maybe there's enough fundamental difference there to where if you replay, you're getting almost an entirely different experience. That would be something that I would love so much.
Yeah, I really hope that, and I think that's almost confirmed that there is some sort of skill tree, because we see in that first gameplay that he earns like a skill point. So I guess there is a skill tree. I really hope it's something like couple of different games like Borderlands or even Skyrim has that kind of archetype thing where it's like you can play as, you can make yourself really strong with the Force and not focus as much on your saber combat, or if you want to just be really good at fighting people with a saber, you can focus on like upgrading your animations and all that, and then or maybe there's like some sort of other like a stealth option or something where you can, if you want to, you can like try and avoid fights and stuff like that. I think having some sort of skill tree like that's different for everyone, because the thing is they can have a skill tree, but it could be by the end of the game it's all maxed out, which isn't too bad, but like I would like it to be you only earn 30 skill points throughout the whole game, and to level up, like to fully max out each different archetype, that you need like 20 of those points, so you can't like max them all out. Something like that would be great, because then my experience will be different than yours, because I might go the Force abilities and you might go the saber combat, for example. So I think some sort of system like that is almost like a necessity for me. I think if they don't have that, it's not going to ruin the game, but I think that's a big part of it for me.
Yeah.
Now, moving on, do you think the game is going to be successful, or do you think it's going to be sort of similar to the last EA Star Wars games, where they're not really like a complete failure, but it's I don't know if
in the eyes of just a casual player base, a lot of people view the Battlefront games as failures, so I get what you mean. But I'm gonna go ahead and be the optimist here, and I think it's gonna succeed. I think I'm very, very confident in Respawn. They're probably the only EA company with any credibility left at this point in terms of just from the casual player base. They're pretty much the only company that hasn't pissed anyone off yet. So I feel like they've taken enough time on this game. They haven't really marketed it too heavily. I think they kind of just want it to be like kind of a pleasant surprise. And I don't know. I mean, they've spent a lot of money on, like, just looking at the cast list. I mean, the guy who's playing Cal, Cameron Monaghan, he's like a big time actor right now. And then Forrest Whitaker is coming back as Saw Gerrera, and there's like they've got a big time payroll on, at least on the cast list, which doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a good game, but I think that kind of just indicates that they've spent a lot of money developing this game. So, I think judging by the gameplay we've seen and judging by kind of the plot points that have been leaked a little bit and kind of like the art book that we've seen, I just feel like it's going to be one of those, like a genuine Star Wars experience that we haven't had since probably the first Force Awakens, or not Force Awakens, Force Unleashed. I feel like that was the last real like original Star Wars experience that we got that was just nothing but good. I mean, I don't really remember anybody playing the Force Unleashed and saying it was not good. So, I'm going to be optimistic and say I think the game will be a success. So I guess it depends on what your definition of success is, because some,
Yeah, that's
I mean, if you like it, it's a success to you. But if it's critically bombs, then that kind of hurts the public perception of it, which it may be a failure at that point. So I don't know. I think it'll be a success for just all around.
For like the player base in general, probably.
Right, and I mean it's a single player game. Like there's no multiplayer. I mean they've already confirmed there's going to be no microtransactions. It's just a straight single player experience. So it'd be really hard to mess it up. I mean it would have to be a super short and just like shallow gameplay and just trash story, which I just don't really see happening. So I don't know. I think it'll be all right.
Yeah, that's the thing with the single-player game is, like, if you play a single-player game, right, and it's not that good, obviously you might be a little bit annoyed and you might, like, go rant about it and stuff, but, like, a month later you've moved on to another game, and I think that's a good thing with single-player games. It's not like... The thing with Battlefront is, it's constantly there's always updates, there's always content, and it's, like, every month we can be disappointed, whereas with this, it's like you said, it's going to have to be really bad for us to be like, that was terrible. Because if it's just like, okay, like if it's just, not to say that I want it to be just like an okay game, but if it's just okay, I'll be pleased enough with that. I'll just be like, wasn't great, but I didn't dislike it. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I
think that is a big sort of plus to having a single player game is if I play through it and I get to the end and I'm like, it was alright, like, that's not that bad. It doesn't mean that I want that, and it's not, it kind of sounds really bad, because obviously that isn't the right attitude to have for, like, the developers and stuff. They should be trying to make an all-time great game, but, yeah, the thing with, like, if it was a multiplayer game and it came out and it was just garbage, I'd be like, I don't know if I want to keep playing this, but even if I play 3 hours and it's not that great, I'm going to finish it regardless, and then, if it sucks, if it's, like, really bad, then that's different. I'll probably be mad about that, but if it's just, like, a 6 out of 10, I'll probably just be like, I'm glad I played it, because I learnt, some new lore, and it wasn't terrible, but, at least it's not, I don't think it's going to be hated anyway, at least I hope not.
Well, and single-player games are a lot more, like, subjective to the person playing them, because, like, multiplayer games, it's really easy for multiplayer games to just, like, for everyone and to just pile on and hate on it, whereas, like, a single-player game, it's more it's very tailored on, like, the individual's experience with it. So it's like, God of War was pretty much a good experience for everybody because it was a good game, but it's like, I do know people who didn't really enjoy it that much, who found it kind of boring, who didn't really get into it because it just wasn't really their thing. So I think the thing with single-player games is they're a lot more subjective, and it really just depends on the person playing it. Whereas in multiplayer games, it's like everyone's experiencing the same thing, everyone's playing the same thing, and then like everyone is going to have the same opinion as everyone else who's playing it. Whereas in a single-player game, there's no outside noise, there's no other people's opinions that are going to influence how you're enjoying it. So I think that's a big bonus for single player games is just every person's experience is going to be different with it.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I honestly think if they make, for me, like if the story is pretty good, say the story is like an 8 out of 10 and the gameplay is like a 7 or something, like for me I'll be really happy with that. If the story's really good and maybe the gameplay isn't perfect, but like it doesn't really matter to me because the story's good, then I'll be happy with that. again, not to say that I like want the gameplay to be bad, but
right. Well, I mean,
for
and
me,
someone
it's
else
more
may
about like the story. Yeah, and that's the thing. Some people might really like the gameplay, whereas
yeah, some people, you may think that the story's an 8 and the gameplay's a 7, and then someone else may think that the story's a 5 and the gameplay's a 10. It's like,
yeah,
that's what I was trying to say about just single-player games being subjective.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when it comes out, are you going to make content on it? And if so, what sort of stuff do you think you'll end up doing?
Well, I'd say like the only thing that's 100% guaranteed right now is that I'll definitely do like a playthrough of it. So it'll probably be a stream, just like a stream playthrough. So the only time I'll be playing it in that instance is when I'm streaming it. But after, kind of in between, I may do, it just, again, it depends on how much is there content-wise. If it's really in-depth and, you can make guides for unique items and, build guides and certain things like that. That's something I think I'd like to kind of jump out in front of and do before everyone else starts doing it, which is bound to happen. So maybe trying to find maybe trying to find something. With a new game, there becomes opportunities for any sorts of content. So, yeah, I think it just depends on how I find my experience with the game. But I definitely see myself probably making a couple videos on it and definitely doing like a playthrough stream on it.
Nice. Now, kind of moving into that sort of more YouTube side of things. There are 3 questions here. The first one is, when did you start your channel, and what was the sort of reason that you started it?
Okay, so I actually have, like, this channel I have right now was not my first YouTube channel. I had another one that I'm not going to say the name of because I lost the password and it's pretty embarrassing. But I started that because I was just your typical 10, 11-year-old kid who was a big fan of like PewDiePie and Smosh and things like that. I just loved watching YouTube, so I tried to be like them or whatever and just make funny videos. And I would definitely force it too much, so that never really panned out. And that was probably, I don't know, 2011, 2012, somewhere around that time. And then I was kind of like building up this whole thing. I was like, oh yeah, I'm buying like this Elgato and I'm gonna start a gaming channel. It's gonna be crazy and stuff. And then I started that new channel once I ordered an Elgato when I was like 13. With my birthday money, I bought an Elgato, and this was around 2013, which is when I made this channel, and it was originally called Smith Comedy Gaming because Smith is my last name, and then I was just so unoriginal and I was like, oh, it would be funny gaming, so it was Smith Comedy Gaming. It was really cringy, and I was so dumb I couldn't figure out how to work my Elgato, so all my videos, I was recording them, but all my videos were coming out in like 360p because that's all I could figure out how to do. It was very bad, and so I kind of just gave up on it, and I didn't really do too much. And then a couple years later, I come back, I start uploading like some Skyrim videos, funny moments and whatnot, and those never really panned out, and some Battlefront 2015 videos, and tried to do some funny moments on there, and those never really panned out. And so then took another break and made a couple videos here and there, and then like people like you and a couple of other guys actually they were like, my problem was I couldn't really think of content, and I was just didn't really know what to do in my channel. Y'all were like, hey, you should try to stream, give streaming a shot. I was like, okay. And so gave streaming a shot, and it immediately was just something I was so comfortable doing, and it just kind of took off from there. And my channel went from 500 subscribers to 1,000 subscribers in it took me like 4 years to get 500 subscribers, and then it took me like 3 months of streaming, maybe not even that, to get another 500 and just double it. So streaming I just found it was my passion, and I loved doing it, and then started making some more videos here and there. But yeah, so I started it because I just grew up watching YouTube and wasn't just inspired by other YouTubers, and then I guess I started this channel in like 2013.
Yeah, now that you say that, I actually remember that I remember like talking to you ages ago about, because I don't think you you hadn't streamed at that point, had you?
No, I had never streamed before. Like I a couple years before I had tried to stream Skyrim like once to Twitch, and my internet wasn't good enough, so I just never tried it again.
Yeah, I think I do remember like saying, "Oh, you should give that a try," because I feel like that must have been around the time that I had started streaming as well, because I didn't stream like straight away either.
Yeah,
And
no, this was...
I obviously like
yeah.
must have liked it, and then I remember saying it to you, and as soon as I remember watching your first one, and I was like, man, you're on the right track now, because you're just like so natural at it.
Yeah, I never kind of, it's not even embarrassing, but it's kind of funny just how it turned out. I remember I used to play like when I was playing video games like on my own, I would literally sit there and like talk to myself as if I was streaming, like even though I wasn't. I would like act like I was streaming. It's really weird. I would just like sit there and just like read a fake chat and fucking like react in weird ways, or like react naturally, but like talk it out and like say things as I was playing by myself as if I was streaming, which I never was. And so then I start actually streaming, and it just felt, it was the same thing that I'd always been doing. So it's like, I was like, why haven't I done this before?
Yeah, I feel like you say that's like embarrassing, but I think like that's probably helped you a lot. Like,
yeah,
that's
no, it really did. It gave me
you a lot for like being able to talk like smoothly and be entertaining on the go, because it is harder than people think when you're streaming to.
Oh yeah, and not everyone can do
to
it
like
either.
react to a chat and like make a joke out of it. Like, it's not as easy as
right, and
it's not
like
everyone
it's
super
can
hard
do it
or anything, but it's like,
well, I mean, a lot of people try, and you go on. I don't want to come like oh, I can do it and these people can't, but I'm just saying, like, it's one of those things that people are like, oh, it must be so easy, and then you gotta have a certain, like, you gotta have your wits about you gotta have a certain personality. You can't get too upset about trolls and whatnot. It's just because, I mean, there's always gonna be people who come in and try to get a rise out of you and stuff. It's just, there's a lot more to it than just turning on your game and playing, because you have to like entertain an audience.
Yeah, it is. I actually am always saying that in streams too. A lot of people will be like, you get the comments where like someone will be like, you might have missed their chat or something, and they'll start like going nuts. It's like, oh, read my chat, and it's like, it's not as easy as you think.
Yeah, well, especially for you, you've got like 70 people in there at a time.
Yeah, it's like, it's not hard. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, streaming's the hardest job ever, and I work so hard.
Yeah,
but it's like, it is hard, like much harder than you would think. It's
right.
It's like you're sitting there. You've got, say, like today's stream, for example, because of the challenges, there was like 150 in the chat, and it's like, you got to play the game. You don't want to do terribly, because like then people will be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Like,
so
oh, you're trash.
You got to try and like play somewhat decent. I've kind of given up on that. I just get squads and I'll just read the chat. But every now and then you got to try. You got to read the chat and like, try and make sure you're getting to everyone, and trying to also not just be that generic guy. Like, read the chat, and it's like someone says, how are you going today? And you're like, yeah, good. And then like read the next one. You want to actually like have conversations with people. Right. So it's much harder than people think. Again, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I have the hardest job ever, because it's not.
No.
It's very chilled in that regard, but yeah, it's definitely a lot harder than people think.
Right.
Or at least, I don't know if harder is the right word. It's probably more.
There's more to it than people think.
Yeah, that's the best way to
People think that you're just, like, I have people, I'll tell people in my daily life, like, oh yeah, I stream a little bit, and I've make a tiny bit of money on it, and it's just like this cool little thing I do. They're like, wait, you just like sit there and like play games like you would any other minute, any other time? And I'm like, well, kinda, but like, no. I mean, you have to, if you want people to come back, you have got to have an some sort of entertainment value. I mean, just sitting there playing a game silently is, nobody's gonna watch it, and you know.
You find a lot of unless you're like the top, like, there's probably say the guys like Paul John and the What a Weirdo and that, they could probably not talk and people would still watch that. But like,
for the game,
if you're not like one of the best in the world, like, it's, no one wants to watch you if you're not somewhat entertaining. Or
right,
like for me, for example, I don't think I'm entertaining, but I'm more just like, it's more like just having a chat, if that makes sense. The stream, I mean, the people in the chat are then generally there to just like, you know, have a chat, which I think, I mean, to a degree, I guess that's still entertaining, but yeah, I think
dude,
you got
people would not come back if you weren't entertaining, bro. I promise you.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think when I say entertaining, I mean like when I watch your streams, you're like actually funny and like, you know, you're either playing well or like you'll have your like rage moments and they're like really funny. Like you actually are like properly entertaining. Not to say that I think I'm like boring, but you know what I mean. I think everyone has their own ways of running the stream, and you have to have some sort of like
something to keep people coming.
Some sort
back.
of thing to some sort of thing to make people enjoy it and come back, which I guess technically is entertaining, really, isn't it?
Different forms of entertainment.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Now moving on to the next question, what are your 3 favorite things about having a YouTube channel? That's probably a bit of a tough question.
Well, I don't know. I think having kind of like a I don't want to say an escape because that's kind of a weird word for it, but like just kind of having a place to go when you know real life is always gonna present its challenges and its stress and everything. And I've had so many instances where I'll just have a rough day at work and I'll just come home and I'll stream, and it's just like I feel so much better. And I've met just amazing people, like some unbelievably great human beings, just through my YouTube channel and like, you know, Twitter and just everything associated with like me on the internet, in this community. I've met so many great people. I've got like so many longtime viewers who I just cannot believe just come back to every stream, and you know, watch every stream for multiple hours. It's just like I love having, it's almost like a family, to just a group of people, just friends to just come back to. And you know, everybody's like, oh well, I can't believe you know, interact with your chat so much. I'm like, well, I don't just look at it as my chat. Like, these people are like legitimately my friends, and it's almost like just I can catch up with these people, ask them how their day was, and you know, just that's my number one favorite thing about having a YouTube channel, is just the community. You know, it's not a crazy community. I mean, I'm not a huge YouTuber, but like, even with under 2,000 subscribers, I still have a big enough community to where I feel as if like I'm doing something worthwhile. Like, I have people who DM me and they're like, dude, like, your streams are getting me through my days and stuff like that. It's like, I never even considered
I think the size
myself.
of a community doesn't matter at all. I think, like you said, it's like your community's no worse than my community just because I've got more people. It's like the people that you know are just as good of people that I know. Do you know what I mean? So I know exactly what you mean. It's like I'm the same. I think of the people in my chat as like, it sounds weird. It probably sounds like I'm a huge loner or something, but you do think of them as friends. Like, it's
right.
I talk to them every couple of days. It's no different than my friends in real life. Do you know what
exactly.
I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
Same thing. Yeah. As for what would you say are your next two like favorite things?
Well, I do get a creative itch just like randomly sometimes, and I'll, you know, making a video and just like going through the process of making it and recording it and whatnot, and then turning it into something and putting it out there and seeing people's reaction and just, you know, scratching that creative itch is a really nice feeling. I don't really make videos as much as I do stream. Oh, excuse me, but you know, making a YouTube video and just like creating something and then putting it out there for people to see is always just a really satisfying feeling. So that's probably number 2. And then number 3, oof.
Like I said, that's
yeah, that kind of reaches like, it's. I feel like I covered like multiple points in my first. I just rambled on about the community, but like, I don't know. I don't want to. I don't know. I really don't know for the third one. I think that the other things are, you know, creative itch and then the community that I've put together. I think it's awesome that I get to just play video games and you know, get to just talk to a bunch of awesome people and, you know, make a little money on the side, and just the whole aspect of it is just, everything about it is just awesome. You know, sometimes I do get burnout and sometimes I don't have the energy and whatnot, but I do know that, you know, whenever that happens, I still have it and I can still come back to it whenever, and I still have people who, You know, I'll go a couple days without streaming and get like spammed, and they're like, "Dude, did you die? Have you quit streaming? Like, oh my god, please don't ever stop." I'm like, "Dude, like, I've had a long couple days, but at the end of the day, of course, it doesn't annoy me or anything. It's just it's great to know that you mean something to people.
It's probably the opposite of annoying, isn't it? It's like you feel like really.
It's a wake up call.
You feel,
I think.
I don't know if wanted is the right word. You feel I don't know how to explain it.
Appreciated.
I guess that's the best way to say it. You feel like people actually want, like, it's a nice feeling to know that people actually want to watch your videos and watch your streams and stuff, rather than they're just like there to pretend to be nice or whatever. So
it's like, because you don't get that fakeness that you get with like an in real life person. You know, in real life you work with people, and you are with people who you don't even know a lot of the times if they actually like you, and it's like I don't know.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Like you don't know.
Like say you work your colleagues or whatever, like you're just there, and you might think that you like each other.
When you don't know their intentions, whereas on here it's like if somebody doesn't like you, for the most part they're not going to watch you, and they're not going to come interact with you on the internet. So it's like, for the most part that 90%, 99% of these people that you're interacting with are people you actually get along with and that actually like you and stuff like that. And I think that's like a big reason why it's so addicting just being on the internet, is because you can meet people who are, just actually like you and actually want to talk to you and hear about your day and whatnot. So that's definitely my favorite part.
Yeah, I think most people should be the same way too. There's probably some people have different they like the money or they like the clout or whatever, but I think you've got the sort of right idea of doing it because you enjoy it, essentially.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to the last question, what are your goals for the future of the channel and just your life in general?
Well,
a very loaded question.
No, it's great. It's great. This is the one I've been kind of wanting to get to, because I've like, it's one of those things. It's like I need to be realistic with myself, but it's also so attainable. And I can't sell myself short by saying that it's not possible, because I think it is possible. I have wanted for so long for YouTube to be my career and like be my job, and I feel like if I didn't have just my regular day-to-day job, I would be able to just put everything I've got into my YouTube channel and into improving on videos and streams and doing it daily and everything. So I feel like if I'm, as for goals for the channel, if I can get it to a point where I can make a steady living off of it and quit my job and just do what I love to do every day, that's the number one goal in terms of that. If I had to set a life goal, just a broad life goal, I want to be financially stable. I don't want to worry about money. I want to be able to retire pretty young, pretty early, and then in the case of if YouTube's my career, I don't ever have to retire, because I'll be, that's pretty much being retired. It's not my biggest fear is just living a monotonous life where I just do something I hate and I'm just like struggling for clawing for every dime to just get through the day. And that's my biggest fear. So I mean, in terms of life, I just want to be successful, be financially stable, get married, settle down, have a family, and just live life to the fullest before it's over.
Yeah, that actually is that like reminds me a lot of my own goals in a way. Like just I think that's probably most people's goals. Like no one wants to be stressed about money. No one wants to be doing something they hate. So if you, like you said, if you can combine like this, which we both of us obviously love it, we wouldn't be doing it every week if we didn't. If you can do that and then like make that your job, that's like for me that's the dream. And yeah, it seems like that's sort of the same situation for you.
Oh yeah, dude, I'd be the happiest dude in the world if I could wake up in the morning and no stress and no worry about, oh my god, I have to go to work today and like deal with this, all this BS. And it's just, if I could just wake up and I know that I'm going to enjoy what I'm doing and I'm gonna have a good time and be with people that I like being around, and I'm able to put my creativity on the line, and like I said, if I didn't have all this other extra stuff going on in life right now, I mean, I'd be full force dedicated to YouTube and stuff. I can't find the energy right now after certain things, but hopefully one day that becomes a reality, because that's definitely probably my like what I'm most passionate about is making that happen.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like you said, you got to be realistic, but at the same time, you're at a point. You're nearly at 2,000 subs. There's no reason if you've gained 2,000, you can't gain 200,000. You know what I mean? You've done that early hard work. I don't think anyone who doesn't have a channel knows how hard that first, like, I'd say probably the first 1,000. I don't think anyone knows how hard that is.
Well, it took me 5 years of being consistent on YouTube to get 1,000. So
yeah, it's a tough, like, and that's the thing. I got kind of lucky too with it, and I still think it's hard. So there's like, I'm not even the best to be saying that too. I just had a video that randomly blew up, but for a lot of people, it's like even harder than what I had. So it's like, yeah, I don't even know how hard it must be, because I still thought my first 1,000 was so hard as well. So like I said, you've like broken past that. There's no reason that you can't do it. Obviously, like you said, you got to be realistic. I don't think I'm going to end up with 100 million subs or some shit, but
of course,
there's no reason that we can't do that, really. There's no reason anyone can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, if some of the, I mean, dude, no names, obviously. I mean, it's people who don't even know of us anyway, but like, there's some people out there who are making livings off YouTube who do not deserve to be making livings off YouTube. And if they can do it, there's no reason. Like, if people with literally the entertainment value of a brick can be making millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever they're making off of YouTube, and they're able to live their life the way they want to, and able to have the lifestyle they want to have. Like, I just look at some of these people, I'm like, there's no way in hell that I can achieve what these people are achieving. Like, the types of people that you just walk by in school and just be like, yeah, that dude is definitely was dropped as a child or something. Like, so there's a lot of inspiration when you just see some of the people who have made it. I mean, there's people who have made it who are very hard workers and are definitely deserve to be there, but then there's a lot of them who are just like, okay, if they can do it, I know I can, if I really put my mind to it.
Yeah, for sure, and I think that's definitely like the attitude to have as well. Well, I wanted to thank you for coming on at sort of such short notice. For those who don't know, I was planning on having Star Bazaar on yesterday, and he had some stuff come up, and I needed to get a video out essentially. So Star Bazaar will probably be on the next one, but I went straight to you because I knew that you would be keen to come on. So I wanted to thank you for coming on such short notice, man.
Yeah, of course, dude. Thanks for having me. I was looking forward to this for a while, and it was great to get the message that it was going to happen sooner than I thought. So I definitely appreciate it, man. It was great to chat with you as always.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said at the start, those who aren't subbed to Nivo, please go and check out his channel. If you like streamers, then you should definitely check out Nivo, because he's a funny bastard, and definitely go and check him out. So the link will be in the description. The other thing is, we did a podcast, like I said, on Nivo's channel. So if you enjoyed this, there's no reason you won't enjoy that. It's pretty much, much the same, but just some different topics. So make sure to go and check that out. But that is going to do it for I think this is the 5th podcast on the channel. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.